Hey guys, it's Maya. So tonight I'll show you one of my masterpieces and one of my best games. There is a quite interesting story behind this game. Yesterday when I spoke to a good friend of mine, he was ex-Serbian and Yugoslavian tennis champion, who's nowadays a cardiologist with a practice in Germany. He just told me, hey, you got a great greetings by one guy here. I said, who's that? Nowadays he's a surgeon. And I said, really? And who's that? And you kill him like 20 years ago and he still remembers that game. And I finally said, will you finally tell me who's that guy and what's his name? And he told me he's Adamovic guy. This way I'm just sending him greetings, and I just want to show you the game that I played 20 years ago when I was like, I believe I was 18 or 19 years old in, at that time, Yugoslavian Youth Team Championship. So what was the game? I was white, and at that time I regularly and exclusively went with e4. This guy went with e6. At the time, his favorite opening, French opening. I played d4, and I always used to play this knight c3. Occasionally, I used to play knight d2 Tarrasch defense, but even nowadays, I believe that the knight c3 is just the best variation for white. So he played knight f6. This is just one of the options. Nowadays, you have like Wiener defense with the bishop b4. Apart from this, you have Rubinstein defense with d takes e4. And you have more and more popular system that Richard Roppert plays with the knight c6. Although my opponent opted for Steinitz defense with the knight f6. Carlsen almost exclusively, at this point nowadays, go with e5. I don't play this move. I never played and never used this e5 move, even though I think, and I have a feeling that it's, if Carlsen plays, of course, it's one of the best variations for white. Anyways, I went with my favorite bishop g5 line, and my opponent played bishop e7. Apart from that, they can take on e4. And they can also play bishop b4, which leads to McCutcheon variation. He opted for bishop e7. I played e5, knight d7, and of course, since I always like to play sharp and kind of critical theoretical battles and variations, I went with my favorite Alekhine-Chatard attack, and I played h4. I just have to say that before this game, I already tried this opening twice, and I won both the games. So I had a great experience, and I was well prepared for this game because in some Serbian championship, I saw that one of my teammates, Stamenkovic, lost 2 games in this variation. And I was well prepared, and at that time I just had like fantastic memory, and everything was just, you know, like I fulfilled like all conditions to make like a masterpiece. So I played h4. Before and after that game, I used to play some bishop e7, play f4, and followed by knight f3, and when they play a6 in order to prevent knight b5 and to be able to play c5, knight f3, c5, I played also like a couple of tournament games with this continuation where I managed to win, but this is like a solid positional approach for white that guarantees white slightly better game. I went with the h4 and my opponent played a6. That's a very interesting moment of the game. I played before this game 2 games with a6, and in this game my opponent also went with a6. Quite an interesting fact that I actually played 3 games in the Alekhine-Chatard and everyone played a6. International master Kalasic, candidate master Nikolic in this championship of my city, and this guy in, at that time, Yugoslavian team championship. So after he played a6, by the way, an Alekhine-Chatard attack, you just sack the pawn, and if they take on g5, you capture, you open up your rook on h file, go, like after the pawn on h7, and after queen g5, there are like two main approaches here. Knight h3, where this knight chases away this queen, and eventually goes on f4 like this one, knight f4 followed by queen g4 and long castles, which is a little bit nowadays forgotten and not considered to be the best variation. And the line that I would go for, that Kasparov played against Viktor Korchnoi in Zurich, he played queen to d3, and he just went for the h7 pawn, followed by knight f3. Afterwards, like Grishchuk played against Stelios Brunel and won a very convincing game as well. Anyways, my opponent went for a6 and I played queen g4. I'm threatening to take on e7 and to take on g7. So basically my opponent has to take. And of course I captured back by h-pawn, open up my rook and threatened g6. When my opponent played c5, because a6 is there in order to prevent knight b5, here it was my turn. For all of you who like to practice initiative, let's go guys, find a move for white. Of course it's g6. It's g6. They can't take because the rook is hanging. I'm just taking advantage of that. And many times when I analyze these positions, when I ask my students, so what if f takes g6? They say, Maya, probably rook takes h7. No, it's also good. It also gives you a much better game, almost winning. But move is queen e6. Only move is like queen e7. You take, king e7 check. You threaten like knight c7 to win this, or just get like much better game. And after like queen d8, you just go with e6 and getting a winning position. Just because of that, in all those three games of mine, everybody went with f5. I played queen f4, threatening to take on h7, and they all went with h6. It's very important to understand that the king is kind of exposed in e8. And you just have to take advantage of it, and this win-over defense is with d takes e5. It's a very common approach where you open up the game, prepare yourself for a long castle, and go after possibly weak king on e8. My opponent went with knight c6, I threatening pawn on e5. I played knight f3, and this is first important deviation here. I'm not intending to show you the other two games that I won in this variation, even though one game was for sure assigned by many guys one of my best games of my childhood and youthhood, where my opponent, nowadays international master Kalasic, played queen c7, threatening this pawn on e5, along castles, took on e5, threatening knight e3, discovered check to win the queen. And actually, he went with knight c5, and when I played g4, I just launched the attack, and if rook f8, g5, and so on and so on. But let's forget about this game, even though I think it's a beautiful one, and maybe I can show you and present you some other time. In the championship of my city, back to 1997, Nikolic took an e5 against me, threatening knight e3, discovered check. When I played king b1, I was threatening rook e1. He realized that the queen on c7 was hanging, knight on e5 as well, and played queen b8 to have like a pretty safe queen. I came up with a knight e5 sack. He played knight g6. I played queen e3, pinning this king on e8. And when he played castles, I played knight b6, chasing away this rook, and also blocking everything, and made the killer move rook to d6. I very much like this one. I was threatening bishop c4, rook takes h6, and I got an easily winning position where I absolutely stifled opponent's pieces, counter chances, and very soon he resigned the game. Although in the game that I'm showing you tonight, my opponent played knight c5. So nowadays a famous sergeant who liked the French opening with the black pieces still followed like advices of, at that time, well-known French players who used to play this variation. I played long castle, short castle, and I knew the games between Kovacevic and Stamenkovic at that time. And I remember that white played bishop c4, threatening knight takes d5, followed by rook takes d5. And this was a critical moment of the game when I played bishop c4 and threatened that knight d5. Of course, that black can hardly fight against this knight takes d5 idea. And just because of this, he went with the queen e8. If you ever try to analyze this position with the computer, you'll realize that the queen e8 is practically the only move for black. Guys, this is a puzzle for you, and I'm gonna give you like a couple of seconds. Stop the video and try to find the move, because you're about to see one of my most beautiful combinations. But I'll just have to be honest and to say that this combination was based on the previously prepared analysis and based on the game between two GMs at that time. Anyways, you had enough time if you stopped the video, if you sat, and if you went with the rook takes d5, I give 2 exclamation marks in this move, then you didn't make mistake. I played rook takes d5. Point of this move is that if they take, you'll see the real point. Actually, the real thing is coming after that. But I remember playing on Play Chess against one guy from Belgium who constantly, after rook takes d5, used to play knight to e4. And at this point, I wasn't like the most satisfied with my continuations. I used to play rook to d1, but in both of the games between Kovacevic and Stamenkovic and Pavlovich and Stamenkovic played in Montenegro back to 1997, both of these guys went with the knight d4. And knight e4 that black played in the 15th move is considered to be the only move for black. But after knight d4, I checked with the engines, even nowadays, it's considered to be the refutation. Why? Because they do not have time to take, because bishop takes, they cannot cover themselves by the bishop. And if they go like this, you just go with the rook h6, g takes h6, and queen h6, checkmate. So just because of this, after rook takes d5, my opponent took by pawn on d5. After the game, he told me, I still remember his words, that he thought that after knight d5, he had a pretty convincing way of defending himself, that after knight c7, he just realized that the queen e7 defends. If I take on e6, knight recaptures. If I take on a8, he just captures, and he would have like 2 pieces for... actually, he would be up a piece. But the real thing came when he took on d5. Once again, I give you a puzzle here. So what would you do? He was absolutely right that the knight d5 wasn't working. But he, after the game, told me that he couldn't even think of rook takes h6. What a beautiful double rucksack. So when I did this rook takes h6, he played g takes h6. I just have to remind you, for all of you who just wondering what happens if they take the bishop, then you just play another nice rucksack, rook h8, and if they take, queen h4 followed by queen h7, checkmate. When I sacrificed this rook on h6, he played g takes h6. Now I took by queen on h6, threatening mate in 1. My opponent played queen e7, after which I captured by knight, and I was threatening this queen, and not just that. Now, when he played queen g7, I just went with knight f6, and that was checkmate in 19 moves. After the game, we just tried to analyze if rook f7 could save the game, but after knight d5, bishop e6, g takes f7, and knight f6 was inevitable checkmate. I really enjoy in this game, in these memories, and this way I'm sending to that guy like the best of my greetings, and basically I hope that you enjoyed this game. Keep supporting the channel, and once in a while I'm just going to give you some of my best games from recent experience, or just like this from like many years ago, but that are still theoretically very important. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.